Hard to believe it's already the home finale for the Blue Devils as they play host to Wake Forest this weekend. Yes, it's senior day, obviously still alive in the ACC race, trying to pick up a 7th win. And this series of late has had a flair for the dramatic. Remember back in 2022 in this building, it was Samir Hagens with a little more than 2 minutes to go that gave Duke the lead for good. A year later, still in this building, a walk-off field goal for Todd Polino. And then, of course, remember last year, the walk-off touchdown to Jordan Moore. So a lot to look forward to. Expecting another tight one this weekend as we welcome you inside Blue Devil Tower. David Shumate alongside the 2013 Coastal Division champion and team captain for Duke. So let's start right there. That was the last time they played in Charlotte. We don't have the board out with all the different scenarios, but there is still very much a real chance they could get to Charlotte. They have to win, need some help around them. We talked about a 7-win season, sending the seniors out with a win on senior day for a 4th consecutive year, let alone the state title for a 2nd consecutive year. As you stack it all up, a former player who's been in that position, how do you prioritize it?
I think it's about the seniors and making sure that you finish the season at home on a high note, especially coming off of how sweet last week was against North Carolina, to be able to stack that on top of each other going into now having secured postseason. Again, that ACC championship scenario is still floating around out there, but you know you're playing in a bowl game. So you want to generate as much of that positive momentum and energy as you possibly can into the postseason period. And doing so against an in-state foe, having the opportunity, like you alluded to win. I assume that little pig trophy comes back, the state championship trophy that we saw. I think there was like some kind of like a smoke that came out of its nose. Anyway, a chance to retain that for the Blue Devils. And also to beat a team, more than any of that, in conference that's playing incredibly well. 8-3, Wake Forest has been phenomenal this season under new leadership with Jake Dickert. And it's so interesting now with perception being a lot of reality. We see that with the college football playoff and what people think about different teams and different conferences. A win against a team like Wake Forest helps elevate the Duke brand in a big way. And all of those things put into a blender, mixed up, mean this is just a big game. It matters a heck of a lot in multiple ways. By the way, you like that we're both wearing black after Thanksgiving.
Well, I'm proud of you. You got a lot of energy today. Did Major and Chase get to the turkey before you did? Did you not overdo it yesterday?
No, but black, I think it's slimming. We're doing our best to hide the damage that was done, because there was some damage done, was there not?
I almost brought you some of the good stuff.
But you ate all of it, I'm sure.
I
could just picture, Shumate's a big congealed cranberry guy. You're just down in cans of that all day yesterday, weren't you? Anyway, it's a big game.
Let's talk about the stats. You look at these two teams, to me it's interesting before we get into the stats, and the head coach of the Blue Devils, Manny Diaz, was talking about that this week. You mentioned that Wake Forest, I should say, has 8 wins on the year. New head coach and Jake Dickert, who comes over from Washington State, and he was talking about the comparables to his first season here at Duke, and all the guys, maybe a chip on their shoulder, not being talked about, the guys that were coming back. Obviously, Claiborne is a huge piece of that. And Dave, when you look at this Wake Forest team, it's not just the intangibles. When you think about how they're built, really good defensively, an offense that at times has struggled, but at times has been explosive, particularly late here in the year with some transfer pieces mixed in. It is an intriguing Wake Forest team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Damon Claiborne, we see the yardage here, 159 yards a game averaging on the ground, and he's a big reason for it. I feel like we've seen him for 10 years. I mean, he is Wake Forest football, and he's playing very well. This is an offensive line, I think, that's playing better than they have in a very long time also, and getting up the field, getting good push at the point of attack up to linebacker level to help open up a guy who can break tackles, very physical runner. You pair him with Ashford, their quarterback, who's certainly a dual threat, can tuck and run, improvise as well, which we all know Duke has struggled against some of those athletic quarterbacks at times this season. Defensively, you've got an offense that can move the ball up and down the field when they're playing consistently. And I think that's the big piece to this football game. Both of these teams are very talented. They both have high expectations out of what kind of performance that they want to have on the field. It's about late in the season, last game of the regular season, with all the emotion that you've got going on, finding a way to come out and play at a consistently high level, down in and down out, putting those plays back to back together to where you're able to pull away from your opponent.
Wake Forest also with some speedsters on the outside, some transfers that they brought in. But as much as we talk about the offense, their bread and butter, right here, their defense, 19 points per game. They have been elite. Dave, when you're watching them, they certainly have their stats that stand out. I'm not trying to take that away from them, but it's just solid. You have to go down the field. It's just hard to move the football against them.
And you know who we said that about the last time was Virginia. And Virginia came in and played really well against.
And guess who beat Virginia? Exactly. Their only loss in league play.
So there's no lack of respect here from the Blue Devils. They realize that this team is the real deal. And shoot, they're a botched play away from having beaten Georgia Tech and being right in the mix for an ACC championship run in Coach Dickert's first year at the helm over in Winston-Salem. You talked about this being a team that reminds Manny Diaz of last year's Blue Devil team playing with a chip on their shoulder. I would actually take it even a step back and to say this group reminds me of year one Mike Elko defense.
2022.
Because you had this prolonged period of time with David Cutcliffe. Then, obviously with what, and I'm just drawing a blank on his name, who was there? Dave Clausen was at Wake for a long time. He had a unique style about him. It got stale toward the end. New coach comes in, and it's a lot of these players, and Manny Diaz referenced it in his press conference on Monday, players that weren't talked about very much in the coaching transition, that are still very talented, have a chip on their shoulder, and they come in, they're flying around the field on defense. So you said it, statistically, how do they get to this really good, only giving up 19 points a game on defense? It's not wowing you at any one single position. It's playing with their hairs on fire. Just very quick, very physical. There's a belief. There's a consistency. We talk about, trying to put that together with what they're trying to do on offense. They are consistently playing with a chip on defense, and that's a big reason for their success.
They come in having won 3 in a row. They thumped Delaware over the weekend, 52-14. Meanwhile, let's talk about the Blue Devils here briefly. Look, we've known this all year long, the best passing attack, I think so, in the ACC. The rushing attack, though, is what I want to talk about, because in the game against Carolina, a concerted effort to move it on the ground, better than 40 carries on the ground for Anderson Castle and Nate Shepard, obviously. But as lethal as the passing attack has been, Dave, how important would the rushing effort be this weekend?
How dare you?
Slow pitch.
No. How dare you not talk about the leading rusher, as at least from an average perspective.
Look at the ball security.
By the Blue Devils, Todd Polino.
Did you teach him that?
I didn't teach him anything, for better or worse. Heck of a play on the fake field goal. Everybody's seen it. Everybody's talked about it. By the way, is there anything better in this world? The Duke football social media folks put out a video. David Shumate paired with the epic soundtrack of the Titanic. Are you kidding me?
I think we have lost the plot. Back to the rushing attack.
The rushing attack is going to be critical. We saw on Saturday against North Carolina, Duke came out clearly trying to establish the ground game. You can tell that both running backs that saw the vast majority of the game action against the Tar Heels and Nate Shepard and Anderson Castle had been challenged. That offensive line had been challenged. It's not going to be easy to run the ball against the Tar Heels, but we're going to go out there and do it regardless. You got to break tackles. You got to push piles down the field. It's that same mentality that'll be required against a defense that is only letting up around 120 yards per game on the ground to have success. Darian Mintz is phenomenal. He's great, like elite when you protect him in the pocket. And then there's this new level of what he can do to a defense when you've got a ground game to complement and to threaten what the offense can do. It's impossible, puts defenders in an impossible bind down the field. So Duke certainly at their best when they're handing the ball off, or a little pitch to Polino, whatever it takes to run the football. That'll help win the game.
All right, let's get into our players to watch this weekend. I'll go first. Shocker. Going with the senior here along the defensive line, not just because of what Aaron Hall is as an emotional leader on this team, but I really do think with this Wake Forest rushing attack, which is the way they want to get going. Look, Aaron and Josiah played really good over in Chapel Hill, and to me, You mentioned the quarterback, the running back. Yes, they can get out on the edge, but you can't have them running up the middle between the tackles. I think the interior of the Duke defensive line is going to be important to really stop the run game for Wake Forest this weekend.
I agree, and my mind goes to the run game like we were just talking about, but for the Blue Devils, in a true freshman. So you've kind of got both ends of the spectrum in this game. He understands, and the rest of the true freshmen that have been thrust into significant action for the Blue Devils this season understand the responsibility that's on their shoulders to send players like Aaron Hall out with a win. That is important. They're going to be playing with a lot of passion, a lot of fire and energy. Nate Shepard, numerous highlight reel, top 10 SportsCenter style plays against the Tar Heels last week. I expect more of the same from him against the Demon Deacons. The ability and the blend of great vision, physicality, and explosive speed is something that we haven't seen at that running back position in probably 10 years. Shaq Powell, similar. I mean, this guy is a really talented, really dynamic threat, mixed with better offensive line play that we've been seeing. It could be and will be a big key to the game.
We saw some of this over in Chapel Hill. Look, these guys live to play football, and the realization that this is the end of the regular season, the game against Wake Forest. But, Dave, not just here at Duke, you see it across the country. Why do you think it is, and maybe I'm romanticizing it too much, but it feels like you see a lot of crazy in this weekend. You see trick plays, you see turnovers, you see guys playing over their heads, you see guys making mistakes that maybe they shouldn't. Is it just the realization the season's coming to a close, and why not throw the kitchen sink at it?
I think there's something to that. I mean, we saw that. Again, and I keep making references to last week. This is a rivalry game similar to what we saw last week. And Duke had the lead there in the second half. Never really felt like we had gotten away with the game without having some kind of high drama. And lo and behold, we got it. This game always feels the same way. I mean, the walk-off winner last year on the road, some clutch first down conversions, you know, in the games previous to that, to have game-winning drives, always finds a way to be close, to be tight. I think part of what adds to that, not the emotion, but how different this week is. From a schedule perspective, you've got Thanksgiving mixed in, you don't have classes. Things get turned on their head. For a program and a football team that sees the same thing every single time. You go on the road, you eat the same thing. You have a routine, and that gets shifted at the end of your year. You add in the emotions of senior day. I think that's why you see some of the craziness. Plus, it just means a lot. It's in-state stuff, man. This is like what college or high school football is so special, because you get a chance to go out there and play for a little bit more than just a win or loss. There's pride on the line. You start to see the highly dramatic plays that everybody loves to watch and listen to on the radio, right? By the way, for everybody that's watching, this is what Shumate looked like when he was running to the Thanksgiving Day buffet table. I know it.
Well, as I know you're headed for seconds here on a Friday, that's where I want to end, because tomorrow, beautiful weather, but going to be a little bit chilly. In our houses, probably not. But in other houses, there's probably still leftovers by the time you get to Saturday. I know we don't let those sorts of things happen, but what is the strategy for a pregame meal? Are you still on the Thanksgiving train, or are you doing something totally different once you get to game day?
If one were to still have leftovers around, you got to go the slider route, in my opinion. You've got
Slider?
Yeah, you got some rolls, any leftover rolls, cut them in half. Taylor, my wife, did this a couple years ago. Phenomenal. And then you you load it up with butter. Of course, what's not good with butter? And then put some ham or turkey, whatever, as a base layer. And you're basically making a little Thanksgiving sandwich. Put some stuffing. Any of the leftover green bean casserole works just fine. Cranberries, but it has to be the true made cranberry kind, none of the congealed whatever. Anyway, put that all, and then you take the other top of the roll, put it on top, put it in the oven. It's a phenomenal little morsel that you can eat. Get you set for the game for sure.
See, what I would say, I'm going to get out here early, bring yourself a nice breakfast sandwich, and let's reload it. Deep fried turkey. That thing will be ready to go by 1, 2 o'clock. Grab something to eat before you head in. nice
just
and
always
fresh.
felt like deep frying turkey is so dangerous, but high risk, high reward. It tastes really good.
And if you do, let us know. We'll come by and do a quality
Send us your
control
location.
taste for you.
Yes.
We're looking forward to it Saturday. Duke and Wake Forest, the regular season finale on Senior Day. If you're looking for it on the television side of things, why would you do that? But if you are, it's on ACC Network at 3:30. We'll have you covered on the radio beginning at 2 o'clock. Gobble, gobble. It's the regular season finale.
I'm thankful for you. Thankful for all of our viewers. Let's get a win.
See you guys.